Hello, everyone. Today's guest is Rabbi Elie Abadie. He's the new senior rabbi of the Jewish Council of the Emirates, and we're so excited to have you with us today. Rabbi, what's it been like the past 10 days since the announcement was made?
Hi, Michal. Thank you very much for inviting me. And to tell you, the last 10 days have been very, very hectic, but of course exciting, exhilarating, if I could use those terms, but certainly very, very hectic with text, WhatsApps, calls, voicemails, and everything of congratulatory note from all over the world. This area of Dubai and the Gulf region has become a very, very important region in the world at this moment, given the changes that are taking place in that region vis-a-vis the Middle East, Israel, of course, and vis-a-vis the rest of the world.
You know, this is a defining moment for the Jewish community in the Emirates. You're going to be leading the community as the resident rabbi there. What will you be taking with you from New York?
Well, I'll be taking, most importantly, my experience all these years as the rabbi in the city of New York, of the Sephardic community, and decades in the rabbinate. I'll be taking with me my cultural background, being from the Middle East myself, Lebanon. I'll be taking the traditional background with me and apply all that synthesis of traditions, idiosyncrasies, and cultures to the position that I have in Dubai. And I think those things will certainly help me greatly in leading the community and interacting with the local population, and also interacting with the population of the region and the countries of the region.
The Middle East isn't foreign to you. As you mentioned, you grew up in Beirut. In a previous interview, you said it feels like you're going back home. You also speak the language, Arabic, along with another 6 languages. Why does this feel like going back home?
Again, first and foremost, Arabic was the first language that I learned, was my mother tongue, so to speak. And then the traditions are very, very similar in the Middle East. The Arabic culture, the music, the culinary art. And so I will take that with me, and that will make me feel at home in a sense. That's why I feel like I'm going back home. And having been raised in a country in the Middle East has given me the understanding, the feeling, the nuances of that culture that is so important when we relate to our neighbors in that region. And so that's why I feel kind of going back to my roots.
You've already visited several times. Can you share with us in what capacity you already spent the time, and what is the nature of your current relationship with locals in the Emirates?
Right. So yes, I've been there several times now, almost 2 years ago, slightly less than 2 years. So the first time I went, we went to celebrate the holiday of Purim, to meet the community. A dear friend of mine, Elie Epstein, who is the one who introduced me to the community. He has been doing business with that region for over 30 years. He lives in the city of Manhattan, and so we know each other. We traveled together to Spain to explore the Sephardic heritage. And so since then, we have been very close to each other, and he invited me to go there and meet the community, knowing and understanding my cultural background, the language that I spoke. And so he thought it would be fascinating for me to go to meet the community, to see in what capacity I could help. And that was the first time. And since then, I have kept in touch with the locals over there. I have advised them. They have called me when they have an issue to discuss. They have called me when they have even a regional issue to discuss. So what's my opinion? They asked me to explain to them the situation, given the background of the culture in the region. Then I went a second time where we brought a Torah scroll for the community, as in celebration of that community. And I also enjoyed my stay very, very much. And I strengthened the bonds of friendship that I have with the community and with the locals.
There is a lot of curiosity among Emiratis. What would you like for them to know about the Jewish community? And are you planning any interfaith initiatives?
Yes, absolutely. I'm planning interfaith initiatives as I have been doing interfaith work for over 2 decades throughout the world, not just in the United States, in Europe. I have been in the Congress of Imams and Rabbis in Paris. I've been at the Azerbaijani, the second Baku Religious Leaders World Council. I have been at Sri Lanka together with Muslim World League. And I have been on local interfaith work with the evangelical groups in the United States, with the Mormon groups in the United States, with the Catholics also. So I have been doing a lot of interfaith work. And certainly I will be doing interfaith work in the Emirates by meeting my counterpart imams and religious leaders of all religions in the area, because we want to be good neighbors. We want to be participating and helping each other and strengthening each other's communities. And so all of that is very important to show the air of tolerance, and more than tolerance, acceptance and coexistence that exists in the United Arab Emirates, and in celebration of the Year of Tolerance that was declared last year in the Emirates. And so all of that will come in handy there, and will be very important to participate in all of those meetings and get together of religious leaders.
I think one of the common grounds that I'm seeing as an individual is religion. A lot of similarities between Judaism and Islam. What would you say are the most common similarities that stand out to you?
Well, Islam is practically a sister religion of Judaism, even though it came thousands of years after the advent of Judaism, but it's kind of a sister religion. Its basic theological foundation are almost the same as Judaism. First and foremost is the belief in one God, a monotheistic belief in one God, a God that is omnipotent, omniscient, and transcendental. Those are bastions of faith of Islam, and those are exactly the same in Judaism. Plus, we have the issue of certain animals that we do not consume, like, of course, like the pork and the swine, and Islam also prohibits that. We have the concept of slaughtering the animal, which is a way of killing the animal in the most humane fashion. Islam has similarly that way. So theologically, we have a tremendous amount of similarities, commonalities that will help each other understanding. I mean, there was a period of time during the medieval ages when Europe was in the Dark Ages. Islam and Judaism were flourishing in Andalus and Spain and North Africa, all the way back to Babylon or Baghdad of today, where there was an incredible exchange of not just culture, but religious thought, religious principle, discussion of religious thought and principle amongst Jewish sages, amongst Muslim sages. That was the order of the day. That was the order of the day. And unfortunately, only in the last, I would say, 300 to 400 years, that dialogue did not take place on a public or international level, but on a local level, it continued to take place. Either in any country or Arab country that Jews lived, they had these frank discussions, but amicable ones with their counterpart Muslim clerics. I will tell you one tidbit of information that I hope you will find it fascinating. And I can give you dozens of those, but just for brevity's sake, I won't. What is the famous name in Arabic of the pilgrimage?
Hajj.
Hajj, correct. Now, that word Hajj comes actually from the Hebrew word Hag. Hag in Hebrew, it's the same letter, the Het and the Gimal, where the Gimal in Arabic is a J sound, unless you are from Egypt, where they pronounce it as a Gimal also. So they call it Hag. And in Jewish tradition, as you know, a Hag speaks about Passover, Pesach, Shavuot, right, known as the Pentecost in English, in Latin, and Sukkot, the tabernacle in English. So those are the three holidays that in Judaism require a Jew to do the pilgrimage, a Hajj, to Jerusalem, to the holy city of Jerusalem. And so Islam uses the same term, Hajj, which comes from the word Hajj, for the holiday of pilgrimage to Mecca, to the holy city of Islam. And so I can give you tidbits like that, plenty. That shows how much common our theology is, and our basic religious foundation.
What do you think your biggest challenges will be in Dubai and the UAE?
I think I'm trying to build up the community, to build communal institutions. And like in any community anywhere in the world, you're going to face some difficulties, either technical ones, bureaucratic ones, uh, human nature ones. And so I'm ready for those challenges. Thank God the experience that I have had in the last many years in the rabbinate, I think that's what's going to be challenging. The ability to do it in a orderly fashion, in a proper way, and also in a time-wise fashion that is not going to be take too long. So it's basically building the community from its foundation up.
Now, you personally, among your many roles here in New York, you're also the vice president of the New York Board of Rabbis, the co-president of Justice for Jews from Arab Countries, and board member of the American Sephardi Federation and World Sephardi Education Center. Is this something you're going to continue to be involved in?
Well, my function in all of those boards is mostly, so to speak, consultative, as a voluntary consultant, given my academic credentials and my experience. So whenever any of those organizations, they need some information, they need some advice, so I give them that advice. So I assume I will remain in some of those boards, and some other boards who might need more of my time, most likely I will not be able to remain. But otherwise, if I have that small amount of time in which I could advise something, I'll be there. But like I said, I assume in some of the boards I may have to leave, given my responsibilities in Dubai.
I think many in the Emirates will be surprised to find out that you're also a doctor. You have a private practice in gastroenterology. Are you going to practice in Dubai?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. We are definitely looking for a space for me to practice gastroenterology, not on a full-time basis, but on a part-time basis. It is actually the tradition of my ancestors and a tradition of Sephardic sages, that not only they had a religious vocation, but they also had a secular professional vocation. Most, if not all, of the sages in the golden age of Spain were rabbis, were religious leaders, but at the same time, they had a secular profession in which they earned their livelihood. We all know of Maimonides, the most famous of them, but like Maimonides, there were over 1,000 of like him in that sense, maybe not as erudite as him, but you have over 1,000 of those that were published in religious literature, and they were also published in their secular professional area. And so in those times, you may not have had the computer analysts as a profession, but you had cartographers, you had astronomers, you had financiers, you had military teachers or military leaders, and so on and so forth. And many of them were rabbis, and at the same time, were poets and were literature or linguists, and so on and so forth. As I said, Maimonides was just one of them. You had Rabbi Judah Halevi, you had Ibn Ezra, you had Shlomo ibn Gabirol, you had Chasdai ibn Shaprut, you have Don Yitzchak Abarbanel, and like that, as I said, you had over 1,000, if not more, of those.
Do you know when you're moving to Dubai? The $1,000,000 question.
Yes, it is. I would expect it to be within the next 2 to 3 weeks from now.
Wow. Are you all packed and ready to go?
Not yet, not yet, but I'm getting myself ready day by day.
What is your main message, first of all, to the people of the UAE that you will be joining, and also to the Jewish community in the UAE and around the world? Because this really is a defining moment.
Right. So I'm definitely expecting many Jewish tourists from all over the world, but of course, especially from Israel. But my message to the local Jewish community and the local Emirati community, and actually to the entire region, is that I'm coming with open heart, and I'm sure that they will be welcoming me with open arms. That I want to work with them and for them. That I want to establish and build bridges between the communities there. That I want to show them the beauty of Judaism and the beauty of Jewish history, and how we can work together. We could establish dialogue, continue that dialogue, and as I said, really building bridges and cementing that relationship for generations to come. Unfortunately, that region, as you know, the Middle East has known a lot of war, a lot of hatred, a lot of antagonism, and unfortunately, that was carried from generation to generation. At least in the last almost 100 years. So I'm going there to hopefully change that paradigm to a new paradigm of coexistence, of acceptance, of tolerance, of cooperation, and of living together as citizens of the world, as human citizens of the world, and extend my hand in that friendship, and extend my heart and that love that we ought to have for one another as human beings.
We know there are two communities already in Dubai. So although we're small, we are already somewhat fragmented. How are both of these communities going to correlate?
I am extending my hand in friendship to all the communities, small or large, and I'll be happy to work with them as part of the Jewish community in general, and do the right thing for our people and also for the country that we're going to be living. So I come, as I said, with an open arm and an open heart to do so.
Rabbi Elie Abadie, thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you in Dubai.
Thank you so much, Michal. Thank you very much. Yes, definitely looking forward to seeing you there.
תודה רבה.